Hi there, I'm Dawn Dancing Otter. I'm a head coach and the educator facilitator at the Weaveworks School of Soul Recovery, and I can be found at www.theweaveworksschool.com. And today I want to talk a little bit about animism and why I feel so passionate about sharing animism-based work and applying it to trauma recovery. From the perspective, so let's talk about a little bit about what animism really is. In a nutshell, and it's a big answer to a little question, what is animism? In general, it's the earliest relationship that human beings have made to the unseen realms. And the worldview is contained in the concept that all things that are material, so human beings, all things that are in this manifested realm, are animated by something spiritual or unseen. That doesn't mean that there is a single source for that, or because many of early cultures have a pantheistic worldview as well. It doesn't mean that there is one theistic source. Is simply that all things that are here with us are animated by something unseen. So the molecules are animated by an essence or a spirit. And one of the reasons why I have created this work in the way that I've created it and the way that I structured it and put it out into the world is because my feeling is that we focus on health and mental health as though we aren't animated by something unseen. We tend to focus as though, I am a person defined by my body, and that body is kind of randomly well or unwell based on the roll of the dice of my genetics, or the influences on my genetics. And from an animism perspective, there are many worlds. And in the Weaveworks School, there are three main worlds that we talk about. The first world is the world of the ancestors. And in my Irish culture, we would call that the underworld. And that creates the underpinnings of everything that is material, because the earth is taken back. All of the things that have been and walked in an animated form and transformed it into the nourishment and the foundation and the firmament for everything that is currently walking. So there is a whole reference to the ancestry having an enormous impact on how we live and walk and who we are. This is found in lots of animism cultures. For example, in Hinduism, the religion of Hinduism harkens to the animism perspective from the early people of India and that region, that there is something called karma, and that there are scenarios and events and environments that are inherited through us. They have different ways of expressing how that happens. My perspective is kind of the same as the animism perspective, that it happens because there is a world that holds that, the ancient world holds that as a storied truth and as something that influences us in life, present day life. And then there is the unseen realms that I could call the unmanifest. Some practices call it the upper world. And the unmanifest is full of spirit that is not yet taken a material form. So it hasn't met with the material form that is being nourished by the firmament of the underworld and the ancestral realm. So what happens in the present moment is it's like a loom. It's like a weaving loom. So what is unmanifest can be loomed together and can be woven together with the ancestral realm. So what came before is being woven together with what is to come through the center, which is the present moment. And as a conscious being, you can actually have a say and a choice. You can decide what threads that you want to include in your life weave, in the weave of your family, in the weave of your people. You can decide to have a say about that. When we are traumatized and we carry trauma, that is something that is almost like it's a knotted weave that comes to us from our ancestors and comes to us from things that have been then seeded into our lives. And we then live this experience over and over again of being stuck in that trauma, and we feel powerless and like we don't have choices. And the Weavework School is about untying those knots and freeing ourselves from repeating some of those cycles so that we can make different choices. And the other thing is those knots carry with them incredible resource and skill that we learn from trauma. So it's not just a loss, like that you get traumatized. There's a loss of connection to your own power, a loss of understanding that you are powerful, more of an impulsivity takes its place, and we tend to react in an impulsive way as opposed to like in a conscious and decisive way. So what we want to do in that untying is resource the skills that we've got, because there are skills there. We also want to make choices about what we want to do with that energy and how we want to become with it. And the work in the Weavework School is about creating more of that loom of the present moment being a conscious decision, that we are in the present moment in a conscious way, that we are making decisions that to the best of our knowledge are towards creating a wake in the future of something that we have chosen. And we see in traumatized people often that they feel victimized by the present moment and having to make choices. And it's somehow a lot more kind of relaxing to a traumatized being that other beings make choices for them and that other people are then responsible for those choices, that they don't actually have to be responsible for those choices. And in rescinding power, over time we become quite under the control of people that are making decisions for us. So for me, it's important to recognize that we are in a situation right now as human beings where we have a great deal of choice right now, and we always have, and that we have a great deal of influence over what we consider to be power over us, those beings that we look to and say it's your fault that we're in such a controlled scenario. And in the present moment, as we heal trauma, we become more awake to how we can decisively make change in that system. And in that way, I address through this work, to the best of my ability, in my human way, I address reality from a place of power and choice. And I honor those things that came before and those things in me that have been harmed and hurt that I'm still carrying as a human. I hold those things really close and heal them. I bring them close to me so that they can be held and not denied and pushed away, so that I don't take them into the future in still carrying that harm with them, because they'll continue to push away power, because it's too stressful to continue to make choices when you are in that traumatized way of being. I want us all to feel more resourced in our choices. I want us all to feel that way, that we are resourced from three worlds and not just the one that you're looking at right now in the material. So we're not just beings walking around without some level of connection that is unseen. My name is Dawn Dancing Otter, and thank you for tuning in today. And Many blessings.